Today on We'll Bake for Food, I'm going to show you how to bake these delicious brown buttered snickerdoodles.
Only food for me. Food.
Welcome back to We'll Bake for Food. If you've ever purchased a cookie at a grocery store during the holiday season, chances are you have seen a snickerdoodle. Well, today I'm going to show you how you can make those at home without a whole lot of trouble. You can find a full list of instructions and a full set of ingredients on my We'll Bake for Food blog. Now, let's get started. I've recently found that I have less time than I always had before, so I've learned how to make recipes that are pretty quick. The first thing that we need to do is get some eggs to room temperature. If you don't have the 30-45 minutes to wait for the eggs to come to room temperature on their own, the easiest thing you can do is put your eggs in hot tap water, and that will allow them to come to room temperature in about 10 minutes or so. So the first thing that we're going to do here is cube our butter like so, and this is cold butter right out of the refrigerator, but I'm gonna brown this butter, and this browned butter makes for such a nutty flavor and a delicious addition to these traditional cookies. So I'm just gonna turn this heat on about medium here and let it brown. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes and our butter has completely liquefied and separated. Now if you ran this through cheesecloth, this would be clarified butter, but what we've done is we've browned the milk solid. So I'm just gonna pour this off of our pan here so that you can see the coloration. Oh, and it smells just amazing, all right? We need to let this cool completely so that we can not scramble our eggs when we put them into the mixture. So we're gonna let this set aside and cool. You can see all those milk solids at the bottom there have just browned, and it gives us amazing flavor. Now, one thing that I'm gonna go ahead and do is we cooked out about a teaspoon of water. I tested the recipe several times, and this is about the right amount of water to put back in. So I'm gonna put a teaspoon of tap water just back into this. So that when we put our flour and stuff together, we have enough liquid component. All right, so the next thing that we have to do is get our dry ingredient mixture together. The best part about this recipe is, other than the pan to melt the butter, you don't have to have any kind of mixer or anything except for these right here. So in the busy holiday time, when you don't have enough time to clean the kitchen and all that stuff, then this is the best part. So I have 1 full cup of granulated sugar and then 1 half cup of packed light brown sugar, and I'm just gonna whisk these together to start. If you have any bits like of the brown sugar because of the moisture in the air, then you can just crush them with your fingers like that. And that's why I like to put the sugars together first so that you can see that stuff. And now I have 3 cups of all-purpose flour that's gonna go right in here, and then whisk as well. Don't discard this bowl, we need it here in a second. All right, so in the traditional snickerdoodle, we have a chemical reaction between what we know as cream of tartar, which is tartaric acid, and baking soda. If you don't have any cream of tartar in your cupboard, then that's why we've used brown sugar, because the molasses has the acidic component that we need to react with our teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and then a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna put those in, whisk that in. Now, before we get this started, in this bowl here, go ahead and put a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, and then I have a tablespoon. I know it sounds like a lot, but cinnamon sugar component usually is a tablespoon to 1/4 cup. So a tablespoon of cinnamon and then a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. I know it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but that nutmeg is much more potent and has a stronger flavor. So we're just gonna put that together and whisk that. All right, into my now room temperature eggs, I'm gonna go ahead and put 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract in here, and go ahead and get these started whisking just a little bit so that we're broken up. Okay, and then I'm gonna pour my butter in, and you kind of have to do this like you're tempering eggs, because this could still be pretty warm and you don't want to cook any of the eggs here. So I'm just gonna temper it just a little bit, get that going so that it warms my eggs up ever so slightly. And now we should be good to go. We can go all in. Perfecto. There we go. Gonna make a well in the center here and just pour all of this wet mixture right into the dry. You can mix as you go along if you'd like. All the while, just make sure that you get all of the brown butter bits if they're on the bottom there, okay? So I'm gonna mix this in and I'll show you what it looks like when the dough is ready to go. So I'm taking this 1 ounce scooper here, and you can use a spoon if you want to. And what I actually like to do is, instead of dump there, sweat, and all that stuff, I like to go ahead and get my pan full so that I know how many I've got. So this next part is really cool to let one of the youngsters in the household do. What we want to do is just make a nice ball with our dough here. And, you know, just make sure that it's married together really well. And then in that cinnamon sugar, go ahead and roll it around, stick it back on your tray, and then with something flat, just flatten it out like so it spreads evenly when you bake it. What I like to do is bake for about 7 to 9 minutes it usually takes. So if you do 8 minutes or target for 8 minutes, you're really good. I'll take one cookie sheet, put it on the top shelf, and bake it for 4 while I'm getting the other one ready. Once that one's done, put it on the bottom and then put the new fresh one on the top. That way you're kind of making a cookie rotation, if you will. So I'll show you what they look like when they get done baking. Alright, so I let these bake for a total of 9 minutes in the oven, and then what I did was, when I pulled the pan out, I just put it on a wire rack so that they could, you know, get air around them and the pan could cool down and it wouldn't burn your fingers or anything like that. And then I let them set on the pan for 2 minutes so that the cookies would not fall apart or anything like that. If you try to lift them before that, you will notice that they try to break just a little bit, but once they've cooled, they'll set like that. And the best part about these is you can make a ton of them because they're not very hard to make, and they will last for a really long time, about 2 weeks in an airtight container. And we've tested it. Like, I kept some out just to test and see how long it took. So these are my Snickerdoodles, and I can't thank you all enough for watching Will Bake for Food.